Think you've seen celebrities lose their cool? Wait until you see what happens when racing's fastest drivers take them for the ride of their lives. Lewis Hamilton and Gigi Hadid. It began as a cheerful invitation. Gigi Hadid, international supermodel, fashion legend, and embodiment of serenity, buckled up in the passenger seat of Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes, beaming. Cameras captured the moment, fans applauded, and even Lewis laughed, "We'll take it easy." But from the very first rev, you could tell this wouldn't be easy. The moment the tires seized the asphalt, Gigi's face changed. That laid-back model attitude transformed into wide-eyed fear. The vehicle howled around bends. She grasped the seat, breath faltering amidst fits of laughter and surprise. "Oh my God!" she shouted as Hamilton maneuvered through a narrow chicane with one hand on the steering wheel. At one moment, she partially laughed and partially pleaded. "Okay, we can slow down now, right? Right?" However, Lewis had not finished. He aimed to demonstrate the true sensation of G-force. The last stretch had Gigi crying out in absolute astonishment. And once it concluded, she was unable to cease smiling. "I've never felt anything like that." However, if you believed that was intense, wait until you find out what occurred with James Corden. James Corden and Lewis Hamilton.
Come on now.
James Corden's job is to make people laugh. But during his ride with Lewis Hamilton, he became the punchline. It started off chill. "So Lewis," Corden joked, "how fast are we going to go?" The engine answered with a violent roar. James's face contorted almost instantly as Hamilton launched the car down the straight. His voice cracked, Mate, slow down." The wind slammed against the car as Corden tried to ask questions mid-drift. "How does it feel? Oh my God!" he shouted, bracing for dear life. The camera captured every twitch, every gulp, every moment his soul left his body. Even Lewis laughed, throwing in a casual, "That's just half throttle, bro." When it ended, James stumbled out. "That was the most terrifying thing I've ever done," he gasped, collapsing into laughter. But Corden had the option to stop. Max Verstappen's girlfriend? She had no idea what was coming. Max Verstappen's girlfriend. You'd think dating Max Verstappen comes with a warning label, but that didn't stop his ex-girlfriend from hopping in for a fun little lap. What did she get? An all-out assault on her nerves. Max hit the gas like he was in Monaco qualifying. Instantly, the car launched forward, tires screaming, and her laughter turned into startled screams. "Max! Max! Think of the curves!" she shouted between gulps of air. But Max just smirked, drifting corners like he was born in them. Her eyes widened as she gripped the door, repeating, "I didn't sign up for this." When they pulled back into the pit lane, she covered her face, heart pounding. Why do people do this for fun? And Max, still chill, sipping water. But if you think that was wild, Allison Hammond nearly needed CPR after Ricciardo got behind the wheel. Daniel Ricciardo and Allison Hammond. TV host Allison Hammond is known for being loud, bubbly, and unshakable until Daniel Ricciardo took her for a spin. The moment the car moved, Allison screamed, loud, and then again, and again. Ricciardo was laughing, and she was losing her mind. Daniel, think of the weight distribution," she shouted, half laughing, half panicking as the car skidded through a turn. Ricciardo, cool as ice. "We haven't even started yet," he smirked. Her screams turned into laughter, then back into screaming, then shockingly into pure joy. As they stopped, she yelled, "Oh my God, can we do it again?" And Ricciardo's grin said it all. But not every ride ends with laughter. For Will Buxton, it nearly ended in silence. Will Buxton and George Russell. F1 reporter Will Buxton thought he could multitask. Interview George Russell at 200 kilometers per hour. Bad idea. George hit the gas, and Will's questions turned into gasps. "So, George, how do you handle the G-force?" Russell kept calm, answering like he was sipping tea. Meanwhile, Will gripped the seat so hard his knuckles turned white. His earpiece nearly flew off. "Do you get nervous before, races?" By the end, he looked pale, eyes wide. The shirt was sticking to his chest. "I don't know how any of you survive this," he muttered. And yet, some brave souls keep volunteering, like Lisa Goss. Lisa Goss and Ricciardo. Lisa Goss wasn't screaming at first. She was doing that fake calm thing, smiling, nodding, saying, "I'm ready," like it was just another day at the office. Then Ricciardo floored it. Within seconds, her hair was flying and her hands were glued to the door handle. She tried to keep cool. "This is fine, right? Totally fine." But her voice trembled with every turn. Ricciardo chuckled, drifting through a sharp left. Lisa's jaw dropped. "Oh my God!" she finally let out as her brave face crumbled into sheer panic. And then, laughter, relief, and the kind of joy that only comes after surviving a near-death thrill. "You're a madman, Daniel," she said, still catching her breath. But the next moment, it made even a giant like Jimmy Butler question reality. Jimmy Butler and Lando Norris. NBA superstar, 6'7", stone-faced. That's Jimmy Butler. On the court, untouchable. But when Lando Norris took the wheel, Jimmy turned into a wide-eyed rookie. The camera caught him laughing nervously before the ride. "This gonna be light, right?" Wrong. Lando hit top speed before Jimmy could finish his sentence. The car threw itself into corners. And Jimmy? He started yelling. "Bro, yo, what is this?" His arms flailed. His tough guy image? Gone. "I didn't sign up for this." Lando, silent, focused, fast. When it ended, Jimmy opened the door, stepped out, and collapsed on the grass in laughter. "I'm not built for that life, man." Even he had to admit, Lando's different. But if you think celebs freaked out, Gordon Ramsay might have set a new record for fear. Gordon Ramsay in safety car. Gordon Ramsay, the world's most feared chef. Unshakable in the kitchen, ruthless on camera. But put him in an F1 safety car, he screamed like it was hell's track. As the driver floored it, Gordon's hands were up in the air. "What in the bloody—" He couldn't even finish. His iconic scowl twisted into pure panic. "You call this safe?" he shouted as the car slid into a brutal corner. His knuckles turned white, his legs stiffened. He muttered expletives only Brits could make sound classy. When it was over, he got out slowly. "I feel like I've been cooked medium rare." But nothing prepared anyone for what Lewis Hamilton did to a fellow pro driver. Johnny Herbert and Hamilton. Johnny Herbert is no rookie. A seasoned F1 driver turned pundit. He's seen it all. Or so he thought. When Hamilton took him for a spin, Johnny smirked. "Show me what you've got, champ." Big mistake. Hamilton unleashed hell. Screeching corners. Death-defying drifts. Every move is precise but brutal. Johnny's confidence? Gone. He started chuckling nervously. "All right, Lewis. That's okay. Okay, bloody hell." At one point he begged, "I get it, mate. You win." When they stopped, Johnny stepped out, shaky. "I forgot what real speed feels like." But the most unforgettable ride? It wasn't wild. It was emotional. Frank Williams and Hamilton's. Sir Frank Williams wasn't just any passenger, he was F1 royalty. Paralyzed from a crash but never broken, he built one of the greatest teams in F1 history. So when Hamilton took him for a ride, it wasn't about speed, it was about legacy. The camera rolled as the car glided down the track. No screams, no panic, just two legends, side by side in silent respect. Hamilton looked over and said quietly, "This is for everything you built." Frank smiled, just slightly, and nodded. That lap? It wasn't the fastest. But it was the most powerful. And in that moment, the noise of F1 turned into something deeper, human. But for the fans, the madness was far from over. George Russell and a young fan. The kid was shaking, but smiling. Sitting next to George Russell, helmet slightly too big, heart pounding. "You ready, mate?" George asked. The boy nodded, barely. The car launched. The kid screamed, hands up, laughing and crying at the same time. But by the second lap, the fear melted into pure joy. When it was over, he couldn't stop talking. It was like flying, like magic. And George, grinning ear to ear. That's how it starts. But not all passengers were fans. Some were teammates, like Bono. Bono, Hamilton's race engineer. Peter Bonington, Bono, has told Hamilton to push limits for years. But this time, Hamilton was in control. The moment they took off, Bono was silent. Eyes wide, not saying a word. Hamilton laughed. "You all right back there, Bono?" The reply, "This is terrifying." Drift, screech, G-force. Bono clutched the seat. "I regret everything." When they stopped, he groaned. "I think my spine's still on the track." Hamilton patted his shoulder. "Now you know what it feels like when you tell me, 'Push now.'" And finally, the moment chaos met commentary. Alex Jacks and Lando Norris. F1 commentator Alex Jacks thought he could handle anything, until Lando Norris put him in the passenger seat. Mic in hand, camera on. "We're here live with Lando Norris taking us. Oh God!" He tried to narrate, tried to sound cool, but the car had other plans. "We're approaching the turn N and I'm gonna die." The final nail? Lando laughing mid-drift as Alex screamed, "Is this part of the job description?" When it ended, Alex slumped forward. "Never again!" And that is how even the coolest voices in F1 get shattered at 200 miles per hour. F1 doesn't care who you are. Once that engine roars, everyone breaks. From celebrities to legends, they all scream, laugh, or freeze under the pressure. Now it's your turn. Who would you throw into the passenger seat next? Drop it in the comments, hit that like, and don't forget to subscribe, because the next ride might be even wilder. Thanks for watching.